for more on the situation between the United States and Venezuela, we speak live now to SABC News Specialist Correspondent Sophie Mokoena. Sophie, good morning. So this is, of course, the latest developments in this continuing story between the United States and Venezuela. And President Trump now saying that Venezuela will hand over up to 50 million barrels of oil to the United States. This is, of course, the Truth Social post that he has put up. And if I can just quickly read it for our viewers' benefit, Sophie. The tweet from Donald Trump says, "I am pleased to announce that the interim authorities in Venezuela will be turning over between 30 and 50 million barrels of high-quality sanctioned oil to the United States of America. And this oil will be sold at its market price, and that money will be controlled by me as President of the United States of America to ensure that it is used to benefit the people of Venezuela and the United States. I have asked Energy Secretary Chris Wright to execute this plan immediately. It will be taken by storage ships and brought directly to unloading docks in the United States. Thank you for your attention to this matter." Sophie, your take on what's happening there now?
Well, many of us have always been saying that it is about the resources of Venezuela, and in this case, oil. We know that President Trump, even before he became the President of the United States of America in his first term, was always arguing that he doesn't understand that the invasion of Iraq under President Bush didn't lead to a situation where America was able to control the oil. And therefore, it has always been about oil. And now, President Trump is very clear and very upfront in terms of the interest of the United States of America. And he has linked this to a Monroe Doctrine, where United States of America will do anything as it relates to its interest. And therefore, this is not something surprising. People predicted it, even though some were saying it's about taking the leader of Venezuela to account. That was not about accountability. It was always about the resources of Venezuela. And it is in clear violation of the UN Charter, because the UN Charter, Article 2, Section 4, it says you cannot violate the permanent sovereignty of any country with the intention to get the natural resources of that country. And this clause is also being recognized by international law. Secondly, the General Assembly Resolution 1803 also indicates that you cannot invade a country and take the resources, the natural resources of that country. So it is in violation of the UN Charter Article 2.4. It is in violation of the General Assembly Resolution 1803. It is also in violation of international law. But the question is, as it relates to the UN Charter and also the General Assembly, what can the UN do? Will the UN do something? Unfortunately, US is a permanent member of the Security Council of veto power, and it will not allow this to pass through. Secondly, on the issue of international law, the International Court of Justice has long pronounced that any occupation, it should be condemned, and it's not allowed. It's a violation of international law. But remember, the International Court of Justice doesn't sanction. It just gives advice and pronounce, but it can't act. It can't stop. It doesn't have military to can deploy to undo certain things that are being done by countries, as we have seen with Israel.
That being said, Sophie, the reality is that the U.S. is for all intents and purposes, as Trump had indicated, they will be running Venezuela, when he says that this oil will be sold at market price and that money will be controlled by me, President of the United States of America, to ensure that it is used for the benefit of the people of Venezuela and the United States. It seems that though he is running the show there. Also, he has indicated that he wants the interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, to give the United States and private companies total access to Venezuela's oil industry. And we see now from that blockade that was in place for those tankers that couldn't move millions of liters of crude oil, that is now moving at least some of it to the United States.
Yes, we saw reports that Russia has sent vessels to go and protect a vessel that's carrying oil that is supposed to be exported to Russia. And we again saw President Trump yesterday saying that Venezuela must cut ties with Russia, China, and Iran, again violating the charter as it relates to countries' sovereignty in terms of who they want to associate with. And therefore, it is a very, very dangerous world as we speak right now. Many people are celebrating the abduction of President Nicolas Maduro because he's being accused of violating the human rights and suppressing opposition. But that's not the real reason he was taken out of Venezuela. And any country with oil output or a producing country must be worried, because if America was able to do this to Venezuela, what will stop the U.S. doing it to other countries? But it's no surprise. President Trump is panicking. Yesterday, he told members of the Republicans that they must ensure that they win the coming midterm elections in November. Because if they don't win the Congress and the Senate, he will be impeached. And therefore, I think he is at the moment where the reality has dawned that whatever he was doing, he may soon be called to account. Because if the Democrats do well in the Congress during this coming midterm elections, definitely the Congress is going to push for his impeachment, because already they had started during his first term. Therefore, it's almost like a wounded tiger fighting.
Sophie Mokoena, thanks so much for that input. And of course, those the latest developments in the United States-Venezuela story. And we will be discussing that a little bit later as we get further expert analysis on that matter.